Hello dear hookers, I have returned with the Hexi cardi. So I have finished and joined the first side. I hadn't quite joined it in the last video, but here is the completed and stitched together side. So we now have a sleeve and it's really cute and I'm very impressed. So I have also completed the other side, so that is now all worked up, so it's the same size as this. So the next thing to do is stitch the armholes together. So there's a couple of ways that you can do it. Usually I just take a needle and thread and stitch it together, or I use the hook and I just do a chain stitch through either side. But with this mohair, I think it looks prettier when you crochet just do clusters of 3 to join it together, and it's easier because mohair is it's quite fibrous, so can be quite challenging to work into the stitches to sew it or to put the chain stitch through. You know, it's whichever way you find easiest, whichever way you feel will get the look that you want. It is entirely up to you. So with the 3 Hexi garments that I've made, I have done it each way. So I have so on the first one I did put a chain to chain stitch through to join it. On the last one that I did sew the arms together, and then I used the slip stitch to join the back and the front because it's a little jumpery thing. I might just suck it up and actually stitch the back together, just so that it's a bit more stable. I haven't quite decided yet, so pray for me for that bit. So I thought I would go show you how I joined that one together, just so that it's just so you can see how I'm doing it. So this I did I did find a YouTube video for myself, just because I have been crocheting a long time, but you do sometimes you just need reminding how to do things. So I you know, even after I've been doing it for years, I will still look at videos to remind me how to do some things. So with this, what you need to do is find the corners. So the corner there, which is the one that's got the 2 clusters of 3 and the chain stitch on both sides, and it's on whichever side that you want to you know, be the top, because this is the fun thing with Hexi cardis, and using this particular type of wool is depending which way you like the look of it, because changing sides, so if I go that way, it only slightly, but it does change the colour way, and it does sort of move everything around a little bit. So if you prefer, you know, depending on the wool that you're using, if you prefer, because I know with some variegated yarns, it can be quite dark on one side and quite light on the other, so if you wanted the light gradient at the top so it goes down to dark, you can just fold it that way. It is one of the great things with this, and it is, you know, a really good you know, it's a personal choice, and you can pick whichever side that you like. I might stick to this side because I quite like the blue being visible in that top corner. Yeah, so what I do to start with is take the hook and I put it through both corners, and then you get the end of the wool and just pull it through, and then just tie a knot. It doesn't have to be a double knot, because by doing the next part and working the stitches, it does make it quite tight, and it's not likely to come on. It's not going to come undone, because of how you're working the stitches, and it's with crochet and knitting. Well, more with crochet, but you're effectively, because the individual stitches are their own thing, it does make quite a nice knot in the item. So it is harder for things to come undone. So all I do then is, you want to work on the front side, so you've got the back and the front, which is the side closest to you. So you want to put a cluster of 3 in that first corner. So you just do 3 chain stitches, and then do 2 more double crochets. So that's American double crochets, just because I learnt the American terminology. So yeah, so you put 3 in there, and then what you do is you go back into the back space, and you make a slip stitch. So with that, I put the working yarn behind the hook. I don't know that it particularly matters, it's just I prefer doing it that way. And then you just pull it through, and then pull it through the stitch on that side, to make a slip stitch. So doing it this way, it does have a little, make it a little flappy. I can't work out how to not do that, so I just work it into the round. I will put it on sleeve end, so that I can work it in and make it a little decorative piece, and do something with it later. So what you then do is, I still put the single crochet, the single stitch, the chain stitch in. You don't have to. Some people don't do that. I do, because I prefer the look of it. And then you just do another in the front. You do another cluster of 3. It'd help if I finished the stitch before. So in the front, do your double crochet, and then you move along to the corresponding space on the back, and you do your slip stitch. There you go, and then it just makes a nice little pattern there. So chain 1, and then on the front. So I'll just go through with you how to do a double crochet. So yarn over into the space, and then pull the working yarn back through, and then yarn over again. So you've got 4 on there, and then you pull this front loop through the middle 2, yarn over, so you'll have 3 on there, and then pull the front loop through these 2, like that. So yarn over into the space, and then pull the working yarn back through the hole, and then yarn over, so you'll have 4 on there, and then pull this front loop through the middle 2 there, and then yarn over, pull through. Pull through both of them, not just the one. And then a slip stitch is you don't need to yarn over, because you just need the one loop. So you go through that one, through the back space, pull the yarn through, and then pull this loop that you've just made through this one at the back, like so. There you go. So that's what I've done so far. And as you can see, it's relatively flat. It's you don't see the join. So I'll show you on this one. So the extra bit that I did was this blue here, and then it just carries along, so you don't really notice it at all. It is nice and stable. It's not going to fall apart, or at least not very easily. If it does come apart at all, or something does snag, it is fairly, because it is just the one row. If you need to, you can, if anything on that breaks, you can redo the row, and it will be fine. It's the nice thing with crochet. It is a lot more fixable than knitting. It is a lot more forgiving than knitting as well. So it's not going to pull as much. It's not going to pull in the same, or if it does pull, it's not going to pull the same way that knitting does. And it is, so somebody that is more experienced with knitting than me, there are ways to fix it when stitches pull. I can never work it out. I mean, I can make a scarf, and I'm learning to do patterns with knitting, but I am more of a crochet person, just because I find it quite calming. I find it a lot easier to follow patterns for crochet, because it is something that I've been doing so long, and it is something that I've had a lot of practice with, and it is, it is one of those things. It's I don't like to compare myself to what others can do, because everybody learns differently, everybody has different skill levels. So somebody is neater when they finish, or somebody is better at following patterns. Some people are a lot quicker than I am, and that's fine. It just comes down to experience. It comes down to how much time they've put into it, and they might just naturally be quicker. I'm never in a massive rush to do anything, unless it's specifically for a time frame or something like that. I crochet because I enjoy it. So I don't like to do anything that puts too much stress on that, because I don't want to take away that comfort that I get from it, and that mindfulness I get from crochet. So yeah, that's quickly how to do that, and I will be back with when I've decided how I'm joining the back, and I will show you that one. Hi guys, I have returned. So I have now stitched everything together. So I chose in the end to stitch it together the same way that I did with the arms. So at the point of joining the back together, if it's not as wide as you'd like at this point, you can add on a couple of rows just to give it a bit more space on the back, and it will give you more of an opening at the front. So that's when you would do that. However, with this one, it was it's wide enough, and it's wide enough to be a little oversized, which I quite enjoy. So it's not quite finished yet. So what I need to do with this now is add more to the sleeves, because it's for my niece and she's lovely and tall, so has lovely long arms. So I need to add a bit more to the sleeves, and as well add more across the bottom of the cardi along the bottom, again just to give it a bit more length. Just so that it's held together more, or it hangs a bit longer. And across the front, because although it's wide enough at the back, we need a bit more length at the front. So with that, again, it is just a case of stitching extra rows. But what I'll do is I won't start from the top with it. I will start a bit further down, just to give a bit of space for the neck, and do that on it. And then what I'll do to finish it off as well is just give sort of a couple of rows around the opening and along the bottom, just to sort of finish it off nice. There's a few ways you can do that. You can add just add a single stitch border, or you could add there's a few different borders. I can't think of the name right now. It's a ribbed border, that's the word I was looking for, a ribbed border. So a lot of people do that, and with the sleeves, because they are quite wide, again this is something you could add a ribbed border to. So what you can do is decrease the width of the arm, and then make a nice ribbed cuff, so that it sort of stays where you want it, and it being ribbed, it gives a bit of stretch, so you can sort of pull the arms up, and that sort of thing. So this is the Hexi cardi so far. I'm rather impressed with how it's turned out so far, and it won't take too long at all to finish the rest of it. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Hi. Also, just quickly, this is it on, and as I said, needs extra length on the arm, but yeah, this is it on, and oh, I'm so happy so far. Yeah.